Thanks, Stephen. Welcome back to the action for our second match of the day. Chris Day, semi-finalist in this year's World Championship, been an Ultimate Pool Pro for the last season, facing off against Cameron Tolley, winner of Challenger Event 3, and as a result, a newly promoted Ultimate Pool Pro for the 2023 season. Gets underway in his first professional match. Interesting group this, Liam. Not the players we probably expected to get through to this stages. There were some big scalps in the qualifying round.
Yeah, I think in the qualifying rounds both players would probably have been underdogs. Cameron Tolley beat Simon Fitzsimmons, I believe, and Chris Day beat Neil Raybone. It just shows the strength and depth on the Ultimate Pool circuit. No match is a certainty.
Yeah, tough score for all these players. Had to come through a qualifying round a couple of weekends ago to reach this televised stage. Played as race to 10, so they both had their chances. So just a bit of confusion with the scoreboard. The colours are the wrong way around. You can see from the last couple of shots that have been played, Chris Day is yellows and Cameron Tolley is reds.
He's just played a clever loss of turn shot there. Turned the tables onto Cameron, and he hasn't really got a finish to go at on the reds. So Chris is well in control of the first frame.
Important first frame, you'd think, for Cameron. Chris has been out in this arena a lot and is pretty experienced with these conditions. Cameron did play out in the main arena when he won his Challenger Series title way back in Birmingham around Easter time. But won't have had so much exposure out here. Did also play in the Champion of Champions earlier on this month.
Yeah, and speaking from a bit of experience, getting used to that shot clock is a big element of the games and the matches this season. It'll take some getting used to, and obviously the more times Cameron plays against it, he'll work out how to manipulate the clock to his advantage. It's a game of cat and mouse at the moment in this first frame. Neither player ready to go for the finish, and Cameron looks like he might just glance off this red and play the loss of turn shot back.
Legal shot, of course, as long as you contact your ball first, but loss of turn if you don't pot one of your colour.
And frames like this, they are actually quite entertaining because it does highlight there is a tactical element to this rule set. And also what this frame will be doing is taking a big chunk out of the match clock. So if this game does go tight, we could well and truly look at a 6-red shootout possibly.
Yeah, we haven't had any yet this week. I'm sure we will before the end of the tournament. Another nearly 3 days of play to come. This format does lead to that a bit, although it's been a generally fairly quick standard of play, so I haven't got to any of those matches being a draw when the buzzer sounds. I don't think this is the worst thing for Cameron, just having a few shots at the table. He's played a few loss of turn shots already. It's been a slightly unusual pattern of play so far in this match, but he's just getting used to the table, the conditions out there.
Yeah, that's a very clever shot that he's just played as well, because Chris has only got one shot really to glance off the yellow, and it's hard not to leave anything on for Cameron.
Yeah, it's been an unusual frame so far. We haven't seen that much tactical play, but sometimes it just turns out like this. There's nothing easy you can go for.
He's just getting glance off the red again and send the white down to the bottom jaws. It's not too bad.
Yeah, I don't think you can see the yellow to the right middle, and even if he could, it wouldn't really help very much.
And within the next couple of shots, one of these players will be attempting the finish. If Cameron wanted to, he could attack now and pot the red into the bottom right hand pocket and white off the side rail and just bump the yellow. And it depends how he's feeling, really, to be honest. He might play the alternative and just glance off the red and send the white back behind the 2 reds as well.
Yeah, based on what we've seen so far, it doesn't look like he's going to rush for a finish.
I think he's sort of half left Chris a chance here. If he wanted to attack, he can either play a plant on the yellows to the middle, which would be ultra attacking, but if it's a straight plant, it's gettable. Or he can just, again, glance off the yellow, send the white to the top left hand jaws.
Yeah, you feel this shot is going to open things up, because whether he goes for the attacking or the defensive shot, if he plays anything off the yellow that he's closest to, all the balls are going to be opened up, so whoever gets first chance. So it is the plant. Wow, it's had a great second prize there, although I think Cameron can see enough of the cue ball that he can get through to the one at the top of the table.
Yeah, the tricky shot for Cameron here is position from the red to one of his other balls. Now he's got to play it on the left hand side of the white, I think.
Struggles in, but does go in. And if this cue ball pulls up, which it has, he can get through to the one over the bottom left. And now, great opportunity. His patience has been rewarded.
Yeah, it might just use the red by the middle as a bumper if needed to. It's perfect.
This is exactly what you want for your first frame in the tournament. Just a nice routine layout. Nothing to be done here, really, apart from eventually getting position on the 8 ball. That's the only slightly guarded ball. And even that shouldn't be that difficult given where the reds are.
At least both players have managed to get a bit of table time in for the first frame, so hopefully they should be used to the pace of the table, so it could be in for an entertaining match.
Yeah, it's already been a slower start than we saw in the last match. Some fast-flowing stuff from Lee Anderson, ultimately defeated in the first match. Jake McCartney coming through. So, good start from Cameron Tolley. Had 2 last 2-5-6 defeats, a prelim round defeat, and 2 last 64s, the best he's achieved. So I guess there would have been questions about how he was going to fare in the pro ranks, but beating Simon Fitzsimmons 10-3, that tells you a lot about how well he must have played in that match.
Yeah, and I think it also highlights how strong the standard is on the Challenger circuit as well. There's plenty of up-and-coming players coming through who all fancy themselves in the pro ranks, and they'll be aiming to get into the top 16 over the coming season.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy tournament, wasn't it? 288-man field. Anybody that comes through one of those tournaments, huge achievement to win one outright.
And Chris has got a nice finish here on reds. They do, whilst there are 2 reds close to the 2 yellows in the centre, they do actually all connect. So there is every red has a pocket. He might just draw this back slightly, or just top off of the side rail. Play it into the corner, as long as it passes the yellow, which I believe it does, and just essentially leave the white cue ball where the red is by the rail.
Normally very steady from these positions. He's only been a pro for 1 season, but it kind of feels longer than that. He's got a very professional approach to the game. Always prepares well for matches. Always looks like he knows what he's doing when he's out there.
Yeah, and I've just been speaking to Chris outside, and he's one of the few players on the circuit that actually play with a glove. And he says that obviously different conditions and different environments, wearing the glove allows him to deliver the cue consistently through every single time, and it's a good way of thinking about it. And in them pressure situations, when you've got that tough ball, you want to be able to ensure that you're delivering the cue straight. And if it's sticky or the environment, the air is sticky or anything like that, it can impact how you deliver the cue and strike the cue ball. So it gives him a consistent action.
Yeah, it feels quite unnatural for a lot of players, but there's certainly a logic to it. Probably less important on a day like this where it's pretty cold. I don't think anybody's going to be getting hot and sweaty in the current weather conditions, but certainly if you're playing in crowded tournaments with a lot of people around, the conditions often aren't ideal.
And his cue ball control throughout this finish has been impeccable.
In that semi-final, would dearly love to copy that right now.
There's
and he's got the ball moving.
Oh, you've called it.
What a great start from Chris Day. He and Sean Story have been really practicing this break, and it's been yielding great results for both of them. 3 golden breaks yesterday for his practice partner Sean Story, and in the second frame of the day, looks like he's coming over to the same side.
There's the 8 ball.
Ooh. Well, he doesn't want the 8 ball going in now because he's spotted the white.
And look at the reds.
I mean, it's actually quite a similar break. It's not quite the same power that Chris put into it, but a similar approach.
And we could well be looking at a 3-1 Chris in a minute, and the only thing Cameron's done is broken off.
Yeah, it's a tough score, isn't it? I mean, he knew as he walked away from the table, I think he was worried that the 8 ball was moving around because he knew he'd potted the white, but then even once that danger was averted, when he looks at the position of these red balls, he's not going to be too pleased. This is a lovely position for Chris to come to.
Yeah, he's just working out his route. I think he's going to screw out to the middle of the table. See, I would have potentially left the bottom 2 reds below the bulk line as they look for the last 2 balls and have the black into the middle. Obviously Chris is going a different option.
Yeah, although at first glance it might seem logical to clear up the top of the table, and I'm sure he will find a route. Those 2 balls, as you say, connected nicely with the 8 ball and would probably have been an easier route back. Still, it's a finish that's simple enough that you could take it in any one of a number of different ways.
Yeah, and you do expect him to get the finish. He's just on leaving the red ball into the top right pocket as his last ball. He's got to play a shot to get onto the 8 ball, which yes, you do expect him to get. But if he'd had the red along the rail, it would, like, as you said, it would have just connected up perfectly for the black.
I mean, we're talking about very fine margins here. Chris Day is one of the most studious players in the game and thinks about how to play it, so there's no doubt that he'll have thought through a sensible route here. It's pretty much dead straight, as you can see, so just having to borrow a bit of the pocket to make sure he didn't screw into the centre pocket.
He's just got the nice angle now to just pot it and just stun out to the centre of the break line.
In suddenly a match that was finely balanced at 1-1, that golden break followed by the in-off from Cameron, the space of 2 or 3 minutes, the scoreline looks totally different. Sort of feeling like you're not quite in the tournament. He's had a few of those weekends where he's just never really got started.
That 8 ball, he knows that was close again. And like you say, Chris and Sean practice this break to get the 8 ball moving. And as you've already seen from Sean yesterday, Chris today, it does earn them frames. So it is worth putting the time and practicing it.
Yeah, and it's worth saying, I mean, it's a good break as well. They're not doing it just to fluke the 8 ball. Even if we were playing in a tournament where it wasn't a golden break, for the most part, it's been earning them very good splits. This is actually one of the worst ones that we've seen from that break.
It's just missed that, and it's just now opened it up for Cameron to go for the finish. And essentially, really, Cameron's got a choice of reds or yellows here. Neither are a bad set. He could take the yellow into the right middle first shot and play the plant, and then they'll open up. or he can take the red into the bottom right first shot, and then just work his way from the bottom of the table, from the top of the table down.
For a moment, it looked like he'd missed that one. I'd be happy to see that down. Always helpful when your opponent misses the first ball and leaves an open table, especially when they've moved one of the difficult ones, which Chris had done.
So I'll draw this back slightly. Cued that well. And really, when he, I don't know if he's dead. If he's straight, he's got to roll through. Otherwise, he'd be looking to stun to take the other red into the same middle. He was straight. He's just not quite come through enough, I don't think.
Yeah, really wanted to be close to dead straight on this one. Then he could have just stunned this ball in and taken the ball up the left rail afterwards. Now he's going to be losing the cue ball if he tries to play that shot.
He could take this into the middle and play like a controlled cannon onto the red and just nudge it over towards their corner pocket.
Crucial here to catch this red as full as possible. Well, he's had a result there.
Has he though? He's got, if he's straight, he's got to play this with a lot of bottom right hand side.
He may just have the angle to pump it off the baulk cushion. Can he go forward? No, I agree with you. If it's completely straight, it's going to be very tricky to...
If he's playing this with bottom right, watch the cue ball as it bounces off the rail. There you go.
Well, in fact, able to play it in quite a controlled pace. I thought he was going to have to hit it harder. I say he had a result there because he didn't really get the cannon right on the ball to the top left pocket, so having to take the sort of alternative one, he was kind of fortunate to land on it. He's negotiated it well.
Yeah, and the standard of the match is really high. We had that first frame which was tactical, and then the rest of it has been clearance after clearance.
Yeah, it's great to see how far the game's come in the last 2 years. So, going for the cut break again. He's got the 8 ball moving, but not quite enough pace to find a pocket. Just having a little joke with his opponent before he went to play that break. He was saying he was going to try and copy what he'd done. See, it does get the 8 ball tracking in a consistent direction up the table.
I'm sure a few people will be taking note of that for their up and coming games.
Yeah, I mean, a key factor of the way that Chris and Sean Story play it is they play it with an enormous amount of pace and are focused on cueing it really smoothly so that the white's not bouncing in the air. It's one of those ones that looks really simple when you watch somebody good do it, but when you try to do it yourself, you realise that it's actually quite hard to keep the white flat on the table when you hit it that hard.
Chris has used his knowledge and experience of the rules there with that first shot. You would have seen a lot of players attack and go for a finish, but Chris has weighed up the percentages, and the percentages said to him he's more likely not to get the finish than get it, so he's just turned the table over.
Yeah, and that's good disciplined match play. It's quite easy to think this is an attacking rule set and you should always go for a finish, but as you rightly say, if you weigh up the percentages and you're not likely to get it, it's more sensible to play like this and either wait for a better chance or let your opponent chase after something. Yeah, still an open table and neither player rushing to go for a finish.
Yeah, he's played that in a way to stop any finish on the yellows. The yellows would be the preferred choice. If Cameron wanted to, he could attack here and play the red into the middle pocket. Because the problem area at the bottom left, he could either pot a red into the middle and cannon into it with the white, or he's even got an angle now, if he wanted, to pot the red into the bottom right hand corner pocket and top the white into that problem area, and he's guaranteed to be on the red, just below where they would usually break off.
Yeah, he has got a nice angle. He's going to feel tempted to take this one to the middle just because he's landed nicely on a ball that could have been quite awkward, but he will have to try and find that kind of angle again. So now going to play the shot you suggested.
You probably aim to pot the yellow here. He's not committed to it.
Yeah, a couple of ways you could have played that. As you say, you could have aimed to play sort of full ball onto the yellow, or you could, well, I think it was trying to come off the side cushion and flick the red out, but just got into it a bit too much.
He may play the loss of turn shot. Try to play the red, pot the yellow and get the snooker if.
Lost turn.
He's played it in a nice way. He's put the pressure on Chris. He's opened up his reds, and while Chris does have a shot, it's not an easy starter.
And that's what you're really trying to achieve with that loss of turn shot. You know you're turning the table over by definition, but you just want to leave your opponent having to chase something difficult.
Chris has a good curist.
Yeah, he's got a very repeatable technique. Keeps very still on the shot. That was a high tariff pot though from the position he was in.
Yeah, I think he's played it with it. He hasn't fully committed to that shot. He's judged the cannon well and thought about tying up the red in the same shot. He may even have not even attempted the pot and just thought about, I'll just tie that red up. And again, it's good match play.
Yeah, and it's the right thing to do against a less experienced opponent on this stage. No point giving away simple chances.
Cameron could attempt. You're going to go for the finish. You'll leave the white pretty much where it is. And he's going to pot this red now at the bottom. And the white will come off the bottom rail and try to cannon into that red. So he needed to hit the red because hitting the black is giving that outcome where he's not really on a shot. If he pots the red into the bottom right hand corner, does the white go in off into the middle? He may have to play a double on the red that he's closest to.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy cannon to judge. Absolutely right, it would have been much better to have hit the red. It's just it was quite a narrow target, the angle he was coming in at. So the double it is. Not far away.
No, but he's going to be in trouble now, and I think Chris's first instance is that loss a turn shot and send the cue ball behind the yellow into the top right.
You're just so vulnerable to this kind of attack when you've only got a couple of balls left on the table, because if Chris can pot one of them, there's only one red for Cameron to go after, so it's quite easy for Chris to find a hiding place.
He's just got to make sure he gets it right, because his first priority is to make sure that the yellow blocks the path for the 8 ball. As you can see, he's left a shot on the red, which ideally he didn't want to leave, but because he's got the yellow right playing the loss of turn shot, it stopped anywhere where the 8 ball can go. So again, it shows his thinking clearly.
Yeah, that's a good point, and it's easy to get carried away with a shot and want everything, trying to get the snooker as well, but then if he'd have left that pocket open, that would have been a much worse outcome. Leaving the long shot at the red, actually, well, I was going to say probably won't turn out too bad, although that's a fantastic pot from Cameron.
Yeah, as you say, if he hadn't have got the pocket, this 8 ball would have gone. He may have to play he may be on the cross double on the black, on the 8 ball.
Yeah, should just be able to get the cue ball out of the way.
Off the yellow.
Oh, how close was that? That was nearly a phenomenal finish from Cameron. Great shot on the long red, cueing out of the jaws of the pocket. And not far away with this. Just ever so slightly thinner on the yellow, and that goes in.
And this is probably the only time in this rule set where it's not a bad thing to get the pocket, because Chris can't play the loss of turn shot on the 8 ball, otherwise he loses the frame. Cameron has to make an attempt. Whenever he's snookered, he has to make an attempt.
Yeah, we might be about to see that rule tested a bit, because really it's not that wise to go into this with too much pace. Cameron's pretty happy with the way the balls are sat at the moment. He's got potential to come off one cushion, but what he absolutely doesn't want to do is flick off that yellow and run into the 8 ball.
It is at the referee's discretion on whether it's a legitimate attempt or not, so we'll see what Scott Price is thinking.
Well, that is a legitimate attempt as well. He's played that with plenty of pace. I mean, he's played the sporting shot, really. I think a lot of players would have played that with a lot less pace, thinking that if they left it short, it would be much better than hitting it too hard.
How unfortunate to find that gap.
Yes, that was coming in. It looked like he was in good shape, it looked like he could double kiss the black in, but that's the worst possible result, because ball in hand and he's opened the pocket up, which is something that Chris would have found pretty hard to do for himself, because that 8 ball was wedged quite well into the pocket. Well, if Chris Day does go on to win this frame, he's been a lucky boy, because Cameron's played some great shots and had got himself into pole position.
Yeah, in a way you could say he's been lucky, but I also think he's played the clever match shots. So he's just played the frame using percentages, and every time he's played the correct shot for me.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I guess, I mean, lucky in the very short term of the last couple of shots, but no, it's doing him a disservice to suggest he's been fortunate in the frame. You're right, he has played a very high standard of match play to get to this position.
Just losing the cue ball slightly, because he may have to take the one over the pocket now, which really he would have wanted to be his last ball.
Yeah, it would have been better if he could have played the one up the right rail. There wouldn't have been very much pressure on it, because in or over would have been fine, but now if he clears it out in this order...
He's playing the double as a shot to nothing. He'll pretty much lead the cue ball around about where the yellow is, just off the rail.
Yeah, again, a well thought through shot, because he wasn't leaving much if he missed it, and that in turn took the pressure off, so it made the pot more straightforward for him. This is a big shot though. I mean, it's fairly straight, but queuing off the rail like this, it's never 100 out of 100. Heart of the pocket though.
It's cued like a dream.
And now he has, as you suggested, left the ball over the pocket until last to connect up nicely to the 8 ball. So, very solid standard of match play from both players. Ooh, where's that 8 ball going? Pushing towards the middle, but not quite enough pace on it this time. Great break though, several other balls potted.
Yeah, but that little cluster on the right hand side of the table.
Yeah, it's actually quite a similar cluster to his last break. He ended up with a few yellows around that bottom left-hand corner.
I wonder if he can play the outside yellow of the 4 that are closest together. If he can, so he play this into the one in the middle of the table. Play that into the corner and essentially stun the cue ball where it is, and he'll be able to play the outside yellow into the corner, and then they all connect up.
Big frame this, because if he goes into the last 10 minutes of the match with a 5-2 lead, the pressure's all on Cameron, having to chase under the 15-second shot clock.
Chris may look at the plant here instead.
Not an easy plant given the distance between the balls, but they are fairly straight at least.
Just hold on to the red. That's a great shot.
And he's just been rock solid throughout this match so far. He's played the right shot and executed really well.
Just a little bit off angle on the yellow down the rail. He may have to sort of roll in and take the other 2 yellows into the bottom right hand pocket.
Yeah, can either drop in for short possession on the second one to the same pocket, or screw on and off the side cushion. Wow, having talked up how rock solid he's been, that's a very unexpected miss.
Yes, and that could be the turning point of the match if Cameron was to get this finish. And he may look to play the ones down the rail first shot if he wanted to. with an element of safety and just roll through.
It was a miss you just didn't see coming the way Chris has played, and given what a straightforward shot it was.
Yeah, I think I'd be taking the one down the rail first shot and just slightly roll through and leave the white over the middle pocket. You don't really leave anything for Chris. This shot is all eggs in one basket. He's cued it well.
Yeah, his long game has been tremendous in this match. He's looked very steady on a couple of tricky long shots. Ball on the left-hand side cushion, which in other circumstances wouldn't be ideal, but you can leave that till last and just run through for the 8 ball, so that takes some of the pressure off it.
He's just got into that cue ball too much.
Yeah, now going to have to play position off 3 cushions rather than just dropping this in as he'd originally planned.
He may end up doubling the last red. He's just got to be careful of the in-off into the middle pocket after this shot. Oh, he's checked it.
Oh, wow, I didn't think he could get anywhere near enough check side. He's really had to dig into that. This is a big shot though, down the rail, just off the cushion as well. Oh, how close was that?
And it's just come up, so I think the yellow goes. And if it does, we're looking at 5-2.
Yeah, that was a lot riding on that shot, wasn't there? 4-3 rather than 5-2. Chris is going to get this done though. We'll find out in a minute if he thinks that yellow, well it obviously does from the way he's played it, squeezes in past the red. That over a head angle, you wouldn't think there was space, but you can often just flick the first ball out the way, just sort of force the second one through. Oh, in fact it went very cleanly in the end, just the slightest of touches on the red. Well, a frame that Chris Day looked to be in perfect control of, and then did allow his opponent back for what was nearly a great counter clearance. So as he steps up to break in frame 8, going for the same cut break again.
8. And the red and the yellow have just tied up at the bottom of the table to stop. It essentially stops him from being able to go for any finish.
Yeah, which isn't ideal when he's only got 7.5 minutes remaining.
I'm not sure. I think he's thinking to himself. He's going to nudge the red over to the pocket, which is a clever shot. But for me, Chris, Sean, these are 2 players are one of the best on the circuit at managing that match clock. And Chris will know he doesn't need to push the boat out here. He's just going to eat into the time.
Cameron can't afford for this to be a 3 or 4 minute frame. He needs to get this done quickly, but there's no way Chris is going to give him a simple chance at an open position.
Yeah, Chris has just got to keep on eat into the time. Essentially, I can just see him just rolling this yellow over, either over the pocket or just try to play off a snooker and just nudge it.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy with a slow frame here. It's the wrong time to have a break like this, unfortunately, for Cameron. If the balls had split up nicely, he'd have been well away. So understandably, just trying to get a few things moving around. He's not really that happy with the position of the current table, so doesn't mind opening things up. Chris, by contrast, is very happy just to keep playing these tippy-tappy shots.
Yeah, Chris is loving this. This is like doing a lap of honour when you've won the gold medal.
Doesn't necessarily need to run the whole clock down, but Chris just knows that if we can waste a bit of time in this frame, all the pressure will be on his opponent, even if he does manage to win it.
And you'll see Cameron have a go at these now.
Yeah, he's got these balls clustered up, but he's not got a bad angle to get himself over that side of the table. So, how's his luck?
It's not too bad. Essentially, he can play the red into the... Not sure if he can pot this red now. If he can, then that was a great cannon.
Yeah, if you can just drop into... It didn't even look like you can see the full pocket. If you can just drop this onto the far jaw, hold position. Ideally, he wants to bump the 8-ball out the way so that he can play the other red to the opposite middle.
So he's going to try to cut this in the middle and nudge the black.
Yeah, obviously the ball didn't go to the left centre, otherwise he'd have taken that first. This is going to be trouble though, because now Chris is going to just start tying balls up again.
Another great shot by Chris, just taking more time out the clock. And sometimes, like you say, it's not the most entertaining for the viewers when you're playing these shots, but you've got to do what you need to do to win the match and progress through to the next round, and that's essentially what Chris is just doing.
Yeah, and it's not like he's sitting on a 2-0 lead. He's played very well to get these 5 frames, so he's earned the right to play like this. Far away, he was just trying to clip the 8-ball and to free that red up.
Ooh, yeah, we would have had the angle, nice angle then as well. Chris is just eating into that clock now. He isn't going wait to go. He's just going to nudge one of the yellows off the rail and play a snooker.
Given that one of the frames was a golden break, they've done pretty well to spend 37 minutes playing the remaining 6.5 frames. So we're getting a bit desperate now for Cameron. 3 minutes is not really long enough. Very close to being a foul there, but it was just a legal shot.
Chris isn't even entertaining going, is he?
No, and I guess why would he now? I mean, it's got to the stage he actually may be able to run the time down just almost on this frame, which would have seemed unthinkable a few minutes ago.
And every time Cameron tries to develop that red, it ties it up even more.
Yeah, and even though there's a good chance to go for some more attacking stuff, there's just such a good position to play the same snooker again. So, clock approaching the 2-minute mark now. Short of... Oh, well, I was going to say, short of some kind of miracle, he's run out of time, but...
He could play the red into the yellow and pot the other red over the pocket with the cue ball.
Wow, just a hair away from the shot you described there, and that could have got him to 5-3. Now, Chris Day can waste some time in a different way if he wants to, by just potting a few of the loose balls.
Oh.
Wow, that's an unexpected miss. It's not one that should be too consequential, but you never know.
You may have a chance here to leave the cue ball where the red is, essentially, and the 8-ball may go into the top left. I think he's just okay. No.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate. Just trying to get a bit close to the 8-ball. It's just got too much spin on it.
Oh.
Ooh. Well, that's going to be the end of the match, because Chris Day can just pot these loose balls and use the time up. But what a spirited performance from Cameron to try to get back into this frame.
Yeah, Chris will be asking for more of the same in the next match. It's a perfect match pool.
Yeah, it really has been. He's done exactly what he needed to do, which is often the way with first round matches. It's not the first match he's played in the tournament because there was a qualifying round, but first match on TV, just wants to ease his way into it. Secure in the knowledge he's won now, although would like to just make absolutely sure his opponent doesn't come back to the table. There's just no need to allow that. So he can use up the remaining time just playing this shot, won't need to attempt any more after this one.
Will he go for the yellow?
Just about got time to play the double if he wants it. No, just plays the safety. Well, warm handshake from Cameron Tolley, who put up a very good performance, it has to be said. He really turned up for this match and was responsible for some very good quality shot making at times. It's a scoreline that could so easily have been different.